The stale scent of old coffee and ozone from humming electronics hung in the cramped sound booth. Amy Slaton adjusted the oversized headphones, the foam pressing against her temples, damp with nervous sweat. Outside the glass, the podcast producer gave her a thumbs up. "All right, Amy," the host, a bubbly woman named Chloe whose voice usually resonated with practiced empathy, leaned into her mic. "You've been through the ringer these past couple of years. The loss of your beloved father, the very public end of your marriage, the ongoing journey with your weight, raising those two adorable boys. Fans have been rooting for you. Today, you promised something big. A breakthrough. What changed? Please subscribe to my YouTube channel." Amy took a deep breath, the kind that filled her lungs and pushed her shoulders back. She looked different. Not just the noticeable weight loss, though it was significant, her face sharper, her eyes brighter, but something deeper. A quiet confidence radiated from her, replacing the familiar frantic energy or weary defeat. "Lord Hammersea, Chloe," she started, her Kentucky accent thick but steady. "It ain't been easy. Not one bit. Losing Daddy, that broke something in me. And then everything with Michael." She paused, the name of her ex-husband hanging in the air. The public divorce, the accusations of infidelity, the messy custody arrangements, it had played out like a tawdry daytime drama, amplified by the reality TV cameras. "We were toxic, Chloe. Plain and simple. Two people drowning, dragging each other further down. Blaming each other for everything wrong in our lives, from the bills to the boys' tantrums. It was ugly. The breakthrough, facing the man in the mirror, and the ex on the screen. The breakthrough hadn't happened in a therapist's office, though she credited therapy with giving her the tools. It hadn't happened in a dramatic confrontation. It happened on her couch, late one night, weeks after a particularly vicious argument played out over text messages about visitation. Gage and Glenn were finally asleep. The house was quiet, a rare, almost unnerving stillness. Scrolling mindlessly, avoiding sleep, Amy stumbled upon an old episode of 1000 LB Sisters. It was from season 2, before the divorce, before her father's death. She saw herself, younger, heavier, her voice shrill with insecurity, constantly seeking validation, lashing out at Tammy, at Michael, at the world. She saw Michael beside her, his expression a mixture of resignation, frustration, and something else, a mirror to her own buried pain. Watching that, Amy confessed, her voice dropping slightly, was like getting hit with a 2x4. "I saw me, Chloe. Not the victim I kept telling myself I was, but the mess. The constant neediness. The way I used food, used arguments, used anything to numb the hurt I carried around since I was a kid. I saw how I pushed Michael away even while clinging on to him for dear life. I saw how my own chaos fed his. It wasn't about excusing Michael's actions," she stressed, "but about owning her half of the toxic equation. I realized I was still that scared little girl inside, thinking I wasn't good enough, lovable enough, unless someone was clinging to me just as tight. Even if that clinging was drowning us both." Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. This sparked a painful, necessary period of intense self-reflection. Therapy sessions became less about blaming Michael and more about excavating her own wounds, the deep-seated insecurities, the fear of abandonment rooted in childhood experiences, the reliance on food and chaotic relationships as coping mechanisms. "I had to learn to be alone," Amy said, a note of quiet pride entering her voice. "Not lonely, but alone. Comfortable in my own skin, without needing Michael or Tammy or the fans or a whole pizza to tell me I was okay." The unlikely catalyst, Michael. The breakthrough with Michael came later, born not from a desire to reconcile romantically, but from sheer necessity. Co-parenting Gage and Glenn demanded communication. The old patterns, passive-aggressive texts, snide comments through relatives, explosive arguments during handoffs, were harming their sons. "I looked at Gage one day," Amy shared, her voice thick with emotion. "He was trying to fix a toy car Michael had brought him, getting frustrated, and he just yelled, 'I hate you,' at that little car. It wasn't about the car. It was about the tension he felt all the time. Swallowing her pride, Amy initiated what she called the truce talk. She asked Michael to meet her, just the two of them, at a neutral diner. I walked in, shaken like a leaf, she admitted. But I told him straight. Michael, I was a mess. I was Hutton, and I hurt you. I took things out on you that weren't your fault. I made things harder than they had to be. To her surprise, Michael didn't lash out. He listened. And then, haltingly, he acknowledged his own part, his withdrawal, his own frustrations, his failure to communicate effectively under pressure. He didn't say he was sorry for everything, Amy clarified pragmatically, and neither did I expect him to. But he heard me. And for the first time in years, I heard him. Not the villain I'd painted him as, but another flawed person who got lost in the wreck of us. It wasn't instant harmony. Old habits died hard. But it was a turning point. They established ground rules, respectful communication focused solely on the boys, a commitment to never badmouth each other in front of Gage and Glenn, and a shared calendar app to avoid scheduling conflicts. The animosity began to thaw, replaced by a weary, pragmatic respect. We ain't friends, Amy stated firmly. But we ain't enemies no more. We're Gage and Glenn's mom and dad. That's the job now. And we're finally doing it together, instead of against each other. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Shedding the Skin, introducing Ray Slaton. This internal shift, this newfound stability and self-awareness, sparked something else. I started feeling different, Amy explained, a spark of excitement entering her voice for the first time. Like I wasn't just Amy Slaton from the show, or Michael's ex-wife, or even just Mama. I felt like more. Like I'd crawled out of this old skin that didn't fit no more. The idea came gradually. A name she'd always loved but never felt bold enough to claim. A name that felt strong, independent, a little softer but also more resilient than Amy. It felt like the name of the woman she was becoming, not the girl she had been. It took me weeks to work up the nerve, she confessed. I practiced saying it in the mirror. Wrote it down. Told Tammy first, she looked at me like I'd grown another head, but then she just shrugged and said, "Okay, Ray. Pass the corn nuts." She chuckled. That's Tammy for ya. Taking another deep breath, Amy leaned closer to the microphone. So, Chloe, this is part of my big news. The breakthrough wasn't just about making peace with my past or co-parenting better. It was about finding me. The real me underneath all the mess. And that woman, her name is Ray. She let the single syllable hang in the air. Ray Slaton. That's who I am now. Amy was the girl who was scared, who hid, who needed Savon. Ray. Ray is Savon herself. Whispers and Wonder, the new chapter. The revelation of the name was seismic enough. But Chloe, sensing there was more, gently pressed. Ray, it's a beautiful name. Strong. It suits this new chapter you're describing. And speaking of new chapters. The rumor mill, fueled by some very intriguing Instagram posts and a certain someone spotted helping you wrangle the boys at the park. Is there another piece of news? Something involving romance? Ray Slaton smiled. A genuine, warm, slightly shy smile that lit up her face. Chloe, you ain't subtle, she laughed. Okay. Since you asked, yeah. There is someone. She paused, savoring the moment, the producer outside the glass practically vibrating. It's really new. Like, super new. And I'm being real careful. Protective of my peace, my boys, this whole new Ray thing I got going on. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. She refused to give a name, citing the need for privacy for both herself and the new person. He ain't in the spotlight, she explained. And I want to keep it that way for now. What I can say is, he's different. Calm. Steady. Like an anchor. The contrast to her tumultuous past relationships was stark. He don't need me to be chaotic. He don't feed off drama. He just sees me. Ray. Not the TV person, not the ex-wife, not the girl who used to weigh 400 pounds. He sees the woman I'm working so hard to be. And he likes her. He respects the journey. She described simple things, shared coffees without cameras, walks where they talked about books, a new hobby she'd tentatively picked up, and their families, his quiet patience with Gage and Glenn. He ain't trying to be their daddy, Ray clarified quickly. Michael's their daddy. This fella, he's just a good man who treats me and my boys with kindness. And after everything, kindness feels like a miracle. The road ahead, Mama Ray's purpose. The interview shifted towards the future. Ray Slaton was resolute. The reality show had given her a platform, financial stability she'd never known, but it had also exposed her deepest struggles. The show, it's complicated, she admitted. It saved us in a lot of ways, me and Tammy. Got us the surgery, got us help. But it also put every mistake, every tear, every argument out there for the world to pick apart. Bein' Ray. I gotta figure out what that means for the show. Do I keep sharing everything? Or do I protect this new piece, this new me, a little more? Her eyes shone with a fierce determination when she spoke about her boys. My purpose, more than anything, is being the best mama I can be to Gage and Glenn. Ray is doing that. Being healthy, not just in my body, though that's important, but in my mind and my heart, that's how I be the mama they deserve. Stable. Present. Not flying off the handle or hiding in the pantry with a bag of chips. She hinted at aspirations beyond the show, perhaps using her platform to advocate for mental health awareness, especially concerning the emotional roots of obesity and the challenges of co-parenting after a toxic relationship. I ain't got it all figured out, Ray said, a refreshing honesty replacing her old defensiveness. I still have bad days. Food still calls my name sometimes when I'm stressed. Co-parenting with Michael ain't always sunshine and rainbows. But now I have tools. Now I have me. Ray. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. The kitchen table, a new kind of quiet. Later that evening, back in the comfortable chaos of her own home, Ray Slaton sat at her kitchen table. The podcast recording was done. The internet was likely exploding with reactions to her new name and the confirmation of a new relationship. Gage and Glenn were finally asleep after demanding a recounting of her radio talk. A single lamp cast a warm pool of light on the worn wood. Her phone buzzed, a text notification. Not from the new beau, but from Michael, heard the podcast snippet they released. Ray, it fits. Boys were wired tonight. Must have sensed the excitement. Good job today. It was simple. Neutral. Respectful. A world away from their old exchanges. Ray smiled faintly and typed back, thanks. They crashed hard. Talk tomorrow, dentist? As she set the phone down, she looked around her kitchen. It wasn't spotless. Toys were stacked haphazardly in a corner. Lunchboxes sat waiting to be cleaned. But the frantic, oppressive energy that used to linger was gone. Replaced by a quiet hum of ordinary life. She picked up a framed photo, her, Tammy, their father, taken years ago. She traced his face with her finger. I'm getting there, Daddy, she whispered. I'm finned in my way. She wasn't Amy, the perpetually overwhelmed young wife and sister. She wasn't defined solely by her weight or her divorce or her reality TV persona. She was Ray Slaton. A mother first. A woman rebuilding herself, brick by mindful brick. A woman who had faced the darkest corners of her own past and her own contributions to the chaos, and had chosen to walk towards the light. She had made peace with her ex-husband, not for romance, but for the sake of the tiny humans they both loved more than anything. She had claimed a new name, symbolizing the shedding of an ill-fitting skin. And tentatively, cautiously, she was opening her heart again, this time with hard-won wisdom as her guide. The journey wasn't over. There would be setbacks, moments where Amy's old insecurities might whisper. But sitting in the quiet lamplight, Ray Slaton felt a profound sense of calm. The breakthrough wasn't just with Michael. It was within herself. And from that hard-fought internal peace, a new life, a new identity, and a new kind of love were finally beginning to bloom. The future, for the first time in a long time, felt less like a battleground and more like a landscape full of possibilities, waiting for Ray to explore. Subscribe the channel to get such videos.